Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm your host, Amanda Lamb. In today's conversation with climate change reporter Liz McLaughlin, we're talking about rising ocean temperatures and how these trends could impact our ecosystem. Scientists have been tracking a steady climb in ocean temperatures since April, causing unprecedented heat stress conditions in the waters surrounding Florida and also in the Gulf. More isolated marine heat wave conditions have been detected off the East Coast along the path of the Gulf Stream, including off the North Carolina coast. Liz, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, can you explain what is a marine heat wave, and is it connected to the air temperatures, and is it unusual?
Well, marine heat waves are usually defined as any time the ocean temperature is above the 90th percentile for a specific length of time. NOAA, I think, defines it as 5 days or more. So this means that the temperatures are warmer than 90% of the previous observations for a given time of year. Like heat waves, they happen, but these extremes are becoming the new normal, and this year is unprecedented. 44% of oceans right now across the globe are experiencing marine heat waves, and that's projected to jump to 50% by September, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. Marine heat waves can last for weeks, months, or even years, as we've seen now in some parts of Alaska.
So I know we're talking about different locations that are being impacted. The Gulf of Mexico, is there a marine heat wave there, and how does that affect North Carolina?
So the marine heat wave in the Gulf started in February of this year, so it's been present for several months now, and NOAA's experimental marine heat wave forecasts indicate a 70 to 100% chance that those extreme ocean temperatures will persist there and in the Caribbean through at least October. There's an interactive heat map on their website for water temperatures, and a vertical column from the Gulf is funneling its way up the East Coast. So that's very hot water, and it's making its way here. It's a bit off the shore, so if you're at the beach this weekend, you may not feel the most extreme temperatures, right there in the water swimming. But the Atlantic temps are still higher than usual, and definitely off deeper into the water. It's that Gulf Stream water that's really hot. The average water temperature of NOAA stations between Beaufort and Duck are 1 degree above average. Deeper water where that hot Gulf Stream water is flowing is much harder to measure. Currently, we predominantly only know surface temperature from satellite imaging.
So is this increase in the water temperature due to climate change?
So the ocean absorbs 90% of excess heat associated with global warming. That's a lot. And as a result, we know that marine heat waves all over the planet are becoming warmer over time. Like their counterparts in the atmosphere, the heat waves that we're experiencing right now, there is increasing evidence that marine heat waves are getting worse, and human-caused climate change is magnifying their frequency.
Wow, well, that's really interesting. We're going to talk more about this after the break. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. Okay, so I'm going to admit that I really love warm ocean water. I've been traveling a little bit this summer, and I always just can't wait to get back to North Carolina because I'm a wimp, and I like to be in the water when it's warm. But there is an environmental impact, correct? And I know that this heat can impact things like the corals and also the marine ecosystems. So let's talk about what that impact is.
And I'm an ocean girl too. I love getting in the water, but the water is refreshing, right? We're in the sun, we're hot. You get in the water, it feels good. If you go to the Keys right now, it is like warm bath water. It's kind of gross. So it's not all rainbows here. And marine heat waves can cause stress to corals and other marine ecosystems. Exposure to extreme temperatures for long periods of time causes a breakdown in the relationship between coral and the algae that live inside of them. So the coral's left pale or white, i.e. bleached. We've seen this in Australia, too, because of this. And the lack of food from the algae can lead to death of the coral. So those are really important ecosystems. And if that heat stress doesn't subside, the coral will die. Mortality becomes likely if the corals experience ocean temperatures of just 1 degree greater than the historical maximum monthly average for 2 months. So it's really a sensitive system here. And that's just one thing, like just talking about coral. Obviously, fish, where, these systems, these critters migrate and live could change really drastically with some of the extremes that we're seeing now. So it can be destructive and deadly for marine systems. If we look historically, there was an unprecedented marine heat wave known as the blob in the northeastern Pacific from 2013 to 2016, and that just led to a huge swath of changes, including some fishery disasters. It caused whales' prey to be concentrated unusually close to shore. So it caused some severe toxic algae blooms, and humpback whales moved closer to shore to feed in some of these waters, resulting in like a record, I think it was 53 whale entanglements in 2015 and 55 in 2016. So that's just a historical
fishing
example.
Nets. Yeah,
exactly.
So obviously, yeah, certain fish groups do better in certain types of water. And if the water temperature changes, they have to move. And so that's obviously a big deal. And equally as important, I know that warming ocean temperatures impact weather, hurricanes, for example. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and that's something, of course, in North Carolina that is on our mind, especially this time of year. And yes, it can be more fuel for storms. And recent studies have shown a link between ocean surface temperatures and tropical storm intensity. So warmer waters fuel more energetic storms. The evaporation intensifies as temperatures rise. So does the transfer of heat from oceans to the air. So basically, as storms travel across these warm oceans, they pull more water vapor and heat. So we're talking more intense storms and heavier rainfall. So we saw that with Harvey. It's the slower system that's just dumping rain. So that translates to more flooding and flood damage.
Wow. So it is something that we definitely need to be concerned about. And I think, obviously the bigger question here, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but is this a trend that scientists think will continue? And if so, could there be long-term impacts?
Absolutely. The trend is like atmospheric heat waves. Again, we talked about, half of the ocean projected to be in a marine heat wave in September is just something that we've never seen before. And NOAA scientists that I've talked to are really concerned about the trend and associate it directly with human-caused climate change. I think there is some mitigation that can be done by controlling some greenhouse gases, but some of the damage is irreparable at this point. And a lot of these ecosystems are going to have to adapt in some way.
And I guess the further south you are in the United States, the higher the ocean temperatures are. That's just logic, right?
And around the Keys, if you have a trip planned to Florida in the next month or two, that is some of the hottest water in the world right now.
Wow. Well, again, I am a big fan of warm water, but probably not hot water.
Well, that is a hot tub ready for you, Amanda.
Yeah. Well, Liz, thank you so much for breaking all this down for us and explaining this. And I'm sure you're going to continue to follow this and continue to report on it. Please take a minute and give us a 5-star rating in Apple Podcasts. Your rating and review will help other listeners find our show. We appreciate it. As always, thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download.